You're standing there completely still, the air feels calm, the feeder is full, it's the perfect moment, the kind of quiet, peaceful scene where birds should be everywhere. But they're not. A few minutes ago, you could hear them, soft chirps, wings brushing the air, life moving around you. Now, nothing. Then you see it, a single bird perched on a branch, watching you, not moving, not blinking, just observing for a moment. It feels like you're being studied. You shift slightly, just a small movement, and instantly it's gone. No warning, no sound, just vanished, and suddenly the silence feels heavier than before. Here's the unsettling part. What if that wasn't random? What if birds aren't just reacting to noise or movement, but to something deeper, something you're doing right now without even realizing it? Tiny signals, invisible behaviors, silent messages your body is sending. Because to a bird, you're not just a human standing in a backyard, you're a presence, a pattern, possibly a threat. And maybe the reason they keep their distance isn't about them at all. It's about you. You've probably tried before. You step outside slowly, hoping to blend into the moment. You sit quietly. You avoid sudden movements. Maybe you even whisper, as if lowering your voice will somehow make you less noticeable. You want them to trust you, but they don't. They land, but not too close. They hesitate. They watch. And the moment you move, or sometimes even before that, they're gone again. It's subtle, easy to ignore, but if you pay attention, you'll notice something strange. Birds behave differently around you than you expect. And even more strange, they behave differently around other people too. Some people seem to attract birds effortlessly. Birds land near them, stay longer, move freely, while with you, there's always distance, that invisible gap. The truth is, birds aren't just reacting to obvious things like noise or sudden movement. They're reading something much deeper. Tiny signals, micro behaviors, patterns you don't even realize you're showing. Because birds have spent millions of years learning how to survive by detecting danger before it happens, and right now, they might be detecting something in you, something you never knew you were broadcasting. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. You see a bird. Naturally, you look at it. You focus. You lock in. Your eyes follow every movement, curious, fascinated, maybe even admiring. To you, it's harmless, just observation, but to the bird, it's something entirely different. In the wild, direct eye contact is never neutral. Predators stare. Hawks do it, cats do it, humans do it. That fixed, forward-facing gaze, it signals intent, focus, attention that could turn into action at any second. So when you lock eyes with a bird, you're not just looking, you're announcing yourself, and the bird feels it instantly. You might notice it subtly. The way it stiffens, the slight tilt of its head, the pause in its movement. That's not curiosity, that's calculation. It's asking one question: is this safe? And often, the answer is no. That's why birds sing calmer when you're not watching them directly, when your gaze drifts, when you pretend not to notice. It's not coincidence, it's perception, because in their world, being seen too clearly means danger is already too close. And without realizing it, your curiosity becomes a warning signal, a silent message that tells them to leave. But your eyes aren't the only thing giving you away. You take a step forward slowly, carefully. You think you're being gentle, controlled, non-threatening. But birds don't see it that way. To them, your movement is too perfect. Humans move in straight lines. We walk with intention. We stop abruptly, start again, adjust direction sharply. It's structured, predictable. And in nature, predictable movement usually means one thing: purpose. Predators don't wander randomly. They approach, they calculate, they move with direction. So when you walk toward a bird, even slowly, you're not blending into the environment, you're standing out from it. Birds are used to chaos. Wind-shifting branches, leaves moving irregularly, other animals moving without clear direction. That randomness feels safe. But you move like something that knows exactly what it's doing. And that's what makes them uneasy. You might notice birds hopping away just before you get close, not panicking, just keeping distance. They're not reacting to speed, they're reacting to intention. Because in their world, something moving directly toward you is rarely harmless. And even when you slow down, even when you think you're being careful, your pattern reveals you. And sometimes it's not what you do, but how fast you do it. So maybe you try something different. You slow down a lot. You move carefully, step by step, almost like you're sneaking. You think this will help. But instead, the bird leaves even faster because now you're doing something even more suspicious. You're moving like a hunter. In nature, fast movement can mean panic, randomness, even harmless activity, but slow, controlled movement. That's what predators do right before they strike. Cats do it, foxes do it, even humans do it instinctively when trying to approach something quietly, and birds recognize that pattern immediately, that unnatural stillness between movements, that calculated pace. It doesn't feel safe. It feels focused. You might notice birds becoming tense, their bodies tighten, their heads move more sharply. They're not relaxed, they're preparing, because something about your behavior is telling them this is not normal. And in the wild, anything that isn't normal is dangerous. The strange part, your attempt to seem harmless is actually making you look more threatening. You're mimicking a pattern that evolution has taught them to fear without even knowing it. But there's something even quieter, something you don't hear, but birds. Do you think you're being quiet? No talking, no sudden movement, no noise, just stillness. But to a bird, you're far from silent. Your clothes shift when you breathe. Your feet press into the ground with subtle rhythm. Even your breathing creates patterns in here, tiny, almost invisible changes that birds are incredibly sensitive to. Their world is built on sound, not just loud sound, but micro sound, the soft scratch of fabric, the slight crunch of dirt, the irregular rhythm of something alive nearby. These aren't noises you notice, but they're signals. Birds are constantly listening for. Because survival depends on it. A predator doesn't announce itself loudly. It exists in the background until it does in single quotas. So birds have evolved to detect the smallest disturbances. And when your presence creates a pattern that doesn't match the natural environment, they notice. It feels wrong, out of place. And that's enough. You might stand there thinking you've blended into the moment, but from their perspective, the environment has changed. Something new has entered, something unnatural, and they respond the only way they know how. They leave, and even when you say nothing, your body is still speaking. You don't think about how you stand, but birds do. Your posture tells a story. Standing tall, facing forward, shoulders squared, it might feel natural to you. But in the animal world, that posture means something very specific: dominance, awareness, potential threat. Predators face their targets. They orient their bodies toward what they're watching. So when you stand facing a bird directly, you're not neutral, you're engaged. Even leaning slightly forward changes everything. It signals intention, focus, readiness, and birds pick up on it instantly. You might notice they relax more when you turn slightly away, when your body isn't aligned with them, because now you're not presenting yourself as something focused on them, you're just part of the environment again. Animals don't wait for actions to decide if something is dangerous. They read posture, because posture reveals intent before movement happens, and your body, without you realizing it, is constantly communicating. Every angle, every shift, every orientation. To you, it's just standing. To them, it's information. And sometimes, it's a warning. But the biggest signal is something you carry with you everywhere. You don't think birds can smell you, and for a long time, people believed that too. But the truth is more complicated. Some birds can detect subtle environmental scents, not like dogs, but enough to notice changes, and you carry a cloud of unfamiliar signals: soap, shampoo, food, sweat, fabric. A mix of chemical traces that don't belong in a natural environment. To you, it's nothing, invisible. To them, it's different, and different means unpredictable. In nature, familiarity equals safety. Birds recognize the scent patterns of their environment: trees, soil, water, other animals. But your scent doesn't match any of that. It's foreign. And even if they can't fully identify it, they know it doesn't belong. So it becomes another layer of uncertainty, another reason to stay cautious. Another subtle signal that something isn't quite right. You might never notice this part, but for them, it contributes to the overall picture of who or what you are, and that picture, it's not as harmless as you think. And then there's the signal that changes everything instantly. You step into a space, and everything shifts. You might not see it immediately, but birds do. The rhythm changes. The environment feels different, because your presence isn't just visual. It's physical. Subtle vibrations in the ground, tiny shifts in air movement, changes In how the space behaves, birds are constantly scanning for these changes, because in the wild, nothing appears without affecting something else. So when you enter, you don't just exist in the scene. You alter it. Birds feel that shift instantly, even before you move, even before you look. They sense that something new has arrived, and that alone is enough to put them on alert, because survival isn't about reacting late. It's about reacting early. You might think you're just observing nature, but from their perspective, you are an event, a disruption, a question mark that needs to be answered quickly, and most of the time, they choose the safest answer. They leave. But here's the deeper truth. They're not avoiding you randomly. They're responding intelligently to everything you bring with you. So what happens when you stop sending these signals entirely? You came here thinking birds were distant, unpredictable, hard to understand, but now it feels different, doesn't it? Because what you've seen isn't random behavior. It's awareness. Birds aren't just flying around blindly. They're constantly reading the world, every movement, every sound, every presence, including you, especially you, and maybe for the first time, you realize something quietly powerful. You're not separate from nature. You're part of it. Every step you take, every glance you give, every subtle signal you send, it all matters. It all gets noticed, and maybe that's why birds keep their distance, not because they're afraid for no reason, but because they're incredibly good at understanding the world around them. Better than we often are. So the next time you step outside, try something different, not just quieter, not just slower, but more aware. Less like an observer and more like something that belongs there. Because maybe the connection you're looking for isn't about getting closer to birds. It's about becoming someone they don't need to avoid. And now I want to ask you something. Have you ever noticed birds reacting to you in a strange way? Did anything change when you changed your behavior? Tell me in the comments, because the next time a bird flies away from you, you might start wondering, what did it see that you didn't?